What if I told you that the car sitting in your driveway right now could be worth almost nothing in less than 2 years? Not because it broke down, not because you crashed it, but because the market, the economy, the technology, the entire auto industry is shifting so fast that certain cars are being left behind completely. We're not talking about a small dip in resale value. We're talking about cars that dealerships won't even want to take as trade-ins. Cars that private buyers will scroll right past. Cars that will sit on lots for months with price cuts every single week. And still, no takers. And here's the part that should genuinely concern you. Millions of people are buying these cars right now. Maybe you already own one. I've gone through depreciation data, NHTSA records, industry forecasts, and real-world resale numbers from platforms like iSeeCars, CarEdge, and Kelley Blue Book. And I've put together a list of 10 cars heading straight for a value cliff by 2027, ranked from bad to absolutely devastating. And I'll tell you this right now. Number one is not a cheap car. It's not an obscure brand. It's something people are spending serious money on today, completely unaware of what's coming. You'll want to stay for that one. Let's count it down. Starting us off at number 10, the Nissan Leaf, specifically the 40 kilowatt-hour base models from 2018 to 2021. The Leaf deserves credit for putting affordable electric driving on the map. But being early to a revolution doesn't mean you survive it. Here's the core problem. The 40 kilowatt-hour Leaf uses a passive air-cooled battery system. No liquid cooling, no thermal management protecting your battery from heat cycles over time. According to real-world data collected by Plug-in America, many of these batteries are showing 25 to 35% capacity loss after 5 to 7 years of regular use. A car that could once travel 151 miles on a charge is now doing 100, sometimes less in cold weather, and used car buyers are getting smarter. They're pulling battery health reports before they even schedule a test drive. A degraded battery Leaf is nearly impossible to sell. Because why would anyone choose an aging short-range EV when brand new options with 250 to 300 miles of range are dropping in price every quarter? Nissan hasn't helped the cause. The brand's EV focus has shifted almost entirely toward the Ariya, leaving the Leaf with minimal software support and a shrinking service conversation. By 2027, these 40 kilowatt-hour models will be fighting a losing battle on every front. Now, if a degraded battery sounds bad, number 9 hits even harder. Because the next car didn't just have a technical problem, it had a safety crisis that burned trust along with a few garages. Literally. Number 9, the Chevrolet Bolt EV, pre-2022 models. This car had a genuinely promising future. Then came one of the most damaging recalls in modern EV history. GM recalled approximately 142,000 Bolt EVs due to a battery defect that created fire risks. A recall confirmed and tracked by the NHTSA. At the height of it, owners were told not to charge to full, not to park in enclosed garages, and not to leave the car unattended while charging. Think about that. You spent $30,000 on a vehicle, and you're afraid to park it in your own home. GM eventually replaced batteries under warranty, but public perception took a hit it never fully recovered from. Now add this. GM retired the Bolt name, then revived it, creating marketplace confusion. And while the Bolt uses CCS charging, a widely adopted standard, the rapid expansion of the NACS network, pioneered by Tesla and now adopted by Ford, GM, and others, means older Bolt infrastructure compatibility is becoming a friction point for buyers. By 2027, pre-2022 Bolts will be competing against a flood of newer, cheaper, longer-range EVs from every direction. The recall history alone will keep serious buyers away. But a recall is one thing. Number 8 involves a defect that was baked into the engine itself, and it affected a brand millions of people trusted without question. Number 8, the Hyundai Tucson, gasoline models from 2016 to 2019. Hyundai builds excellent cars today, but these specific model years carry a weight the market hasn't forgotten. These Tucsons were among the vehicles affected by the Theta 2 engine defect. a manufacturing issue that caused engines to seize, knock, and fail unexpectedly. The problem was widespread enough that Hyundai and Kia faced NHTSA investigations, class action lawsuits, and a settlement that Bloomberg reported exceeded $760 million across affected vehicles. Hyundai issued extended warranties and recalls, but the shadow of that engine family never fully lifted from these years. Here's what that means in the used market. The moment a buyer searches 2017 Hyundai Tucson engine problems, they get years of documented complaints, news coverage, and legal proceedings. You lose buyers immediately, the ones who stay negotiate aggressively because they know the risk they're accepting. Pair that with the fact that the compact SUV segment is the single most competitive in the auto industry. You're up against Hondas, Toyotas, Mazdas, and newer Hyundais without the engine stigma. And these older Tucsons have nowhere to go but down. Now, if a flawed engine is painful, imagine pouring money into a luxury car that the manufacturer quietly walked away from. That's exactly what number 7 is about. Number 7, the Cadillac CT6. This one stings a little. When GM launched the CT6, it was a genuine statement. Cadillac's attempt to reclaim the flagship luxury sedan crown from BMW and Mercedes. The technology was impressive. Super Cruise, one of the earliest hands-free highway driving systems ever offered to consumers, was genuinely ahead of its time. And then GM pulled the plug. CT6 US production ended in 2020, confirmed across automotive outlets including Car and Driver and Motor Trend. That single decision set off a slow depreciation collapse that's still unfolding. When a manufacturer discontinues a model, the used market reacts fast. Parts availability becomes a concern. Dealer service familiarity fades. And luxury buyers, who are already cautious, want nothing to do with an orphan vehicle. Nobody wants to spend serious money maintaining a car the manufacturer gave up on. The CT6 is also caught in the broader collapse of the full-size luxury sedan segment. Wealthy buyers are moving toward luxury SUVs and electric flagships. At least a used S-Class or 7 Series carries global brand infrastructure. The CT6 carries a discontinued badge. You might find one today for $25,000. By 2027, clearing $12,000 could be a stretch. That's what happens when a manufacturer abandons one model. Number 6 shows what happens when a manufacturer starts retreating from an entire market and takes everyone who bought in down with them. Number 6, the Mitsubishi Outlander, non-plug-in hybrid, 2015 to 2019 models. Let's talk about what happens when a car brand slowly fades into irrelevance, because that's exactly what's happening to Mitsubishi in the American market, and it's dragging these Outlanders down with it. Mitsubishi has been retreating from the US market for years. Limited dealership network, minimal advertising spend, and a reputation that hasn't recovered from their earlier fuel economy scandal. The brand simply doesn't have the presence or prestige to hold resale value the way Toyota, Honda, or even Hyundai can. These specific Outlander models, the older non-PHEV versions, are also being squeezed out by their own siblings. The newer Outlander PHEV is a genuinely good vehicle, which means the older gas-only versions look even worse by comparison. Outdated tech, worse fuel economy, and no electrification to speak of. By 2027, as fuel prices remain volatile and buyers increasingly demand some form of electrification, a mid-sized gas-only SUV from a shrinking brand with a thin dealer network is going to be a very hard sell. These are the cars that end up at deep discount auctions or traded in for bottom dollar because nobody else wants them. But let's step it up, because number 5 is where we get into cars that people are spending serious money on right now, completely unaware that they're buying into a depreciating disaster. Number 5, the BMW 7 Series V8 gasoline models from 2016 to 2019. BMW, a brand that still carries enormous prestige. So why is a flagship 7 Series on a list like this? Because prestige doesn't pay the repair bills. According to Repair Pal and Your Mechanic cost data, annual maintenance on an out-of-warranty BMW 7 Series regularly runs between $3,000 and $5,000. And that's in normal years without major component failures. Cooling systems, air suspensions, electronics. These are cars engineered to be leased new and returned. Long-term private ownership is a financial challenge most buyers underestimate badly. Layer on top of that, BMW has gone all in on the i7, their electric flagship. The gas V8 7 Series is being deliberately phased out of the brand's future conversation. Wealthy buyers who want a BMW flagship are increasingly looking at the i7, Mercedes EQS, or the Lucid Air. The gas V8 is becoming the option for buyers who specifically want yesterday's luxury at a discount, and that buyer has enormous negotiating power. By 2027, these models will be sitting on lots with significant price reductions and still moving slowly. All right, number 4 is where this list stops being about niche vehicles and starts hitting home for millions of everyday Americans. Because number 4 is something you see on every highway, every job site, every school pickup line, and its value floor is cracking. Number 4, full-size V8 pickup trucks from 2018 to 2021, specifically the non-hybrid, pure gasoline V8 configurations from Ford, GM, and Ram. I know this one is going to hit some people hard. Trucks have been the gold standard of resale value for decades. And that was true. For a long time, it was completely reliable. But the conditions that created that truth are changing faster than most truck owners realize. First, fuel economy. A full-size V8 averaging 15 to 17 miles per gallon is increasingly expensive to operate. As hybrid and electric truck options expand, the Ford F-150 PowerBoost Hybrid, Ram 1500 e-Torque, Chevy Silverado EV, Ram 1500 Rev, buyers will have efficient alternatives that make pure V8 running costs look punishing by comparison. Second, oversupply. After the chip shortage eased, manufacturers ramped production aggressively. Lots filled up, incentives grew. When new trucks sell at big discounts, used truck values follow downward. iSeeCars data has already flagged pickup trucks among the fastest depreciating segments as inventory normalized. Someone who paid $55,000 for a non-hybrid V8 truck in 2020 is looking at a vehicle that could realistically be valued between $18,000 and $24,000 by 2027. That is a loss most buyers never modeled when they signed the paperwork. And yet, as significant as that loss is, number 3 might be the most counterintuitive entry on this entire list, because it's one of the most talked about, most celebrated vehicles on the road. And that popularity has not protected it one bit. Number 3, the Tesla Model 3 2018 to 2021 models. This is not a Tesla takedown. Tesla builds genuinely impressive vehicles, but the used car market doesn't run on enthusiasm. It runs on numbers. The central problem is Tesla's own pricing strategy. Tesla has cut new Model 3 prices multiple times and significantly. Every time new prices drop, every used Model 3 on the market loses value in lockstep. It's not a one-time event. It's a documented pattern that shows no sign of stopping. On top of that, the 2018 to 2021 Model 3s are aging in a category where technology moves faster than almost anywhere else. Newer Model 3s feature improved range, refreshed interiors, better hardware, and more refined software. The older models are starting to feel like a previous generation. And in EVs, previous generation feels like a decade ago. There's also a hardware consideration worth noting. As Tesla develops software updates optimized for newer vehicle hardware, owners of older models may experience slower performance or limited feature access over time. When your entire driving experience is built around a central screen and software ecosystem, that matters to buyers. People who purchase these at or above MSRP during the 2020 to 2021 inventory shortage are facing losses they didn't anticipate. That's a tough reality for Tesla owners. But number two is a vehicle that people are choosing right now in enormous numbers, completely unaware of a quiet structural problem eating its value from the inside. Number 2, and I need you to stay with me here, because this is the entry most people will argue with, and I understand why. The Toyota RAV4, gasoline-only models, 2019 to 2022. Toyota, reliability, strong resale. It's been true for years, so what's the problem? The problem is what's happening within Toyota's own lineup. RAV4. Hybrid and RAV4 prime sales have been growing rapidly. Toyota's own quarterly sales reports show the hybrid variants closing the gap significantly in key North American markets. Toyota's public direction is unmistakably toward electrification, which means by 2027, when you're selling a 5 to 8-year-old gas-only RAV4, your direct competition isn't a Honda CR-V, it's a used RAV4 hybrid priced only slightly higher, offering dramatically better fuel economy and far stronger buyer demand. Buyers will choose the hybrid consistently. That price pressure forces the gas-only models downward. Add in that insurance and repair costs across all modern vehicles have climbed meaningfully. Even reliable Toyotas aren't immune to that trend. And the gas RAV4's value proposition gets weaker every year. The RAV4 name survives. The RAV4 reputation survives. But the gas-only models from this window, they're quietly becoming the least desirable version of one of the world's most popular vehicles. All right, number 1. I told you from the beginning that this one would be different, and I meant it. This is not a struggling brand. This is not an old vehicle. This is something people are paying extraordinary amounts of money for right now. Number 1. The Rivian R1T and R1S, 2022 and 2023 models. Before anything else, the Rivian is a remarkable piece of engineering, genuinely. But remarkable engineering and strong resale value are two completely different conversations. 1. Pricing instability. In March 2022, Rivian announced price increases of up to $12,000 on existing reservations, increases that hit customers who had been waiting over a year. The backlash was immediate and public. Rivian reversed course within days, but the damage was done. The Verge, Electrek, and Reuters all covered this episode extensively. Every pricing reversal and configuration change since has further eroded confidence in what these vehicles are actually worth. 2. Service infrastructure. Rivian's service network remains in early development, a fraction of Tesla's locations. For owners outside major metros, a service appointment can mean days of waiting and significant logistics. Used car buyers price risk into their offers. Thin service coverage is a major risk factor. 3. Competition that didn't exist at launch. When the R1T shipped, the electric truck segment was essentially empty. Today, buyers can cross-shop the Ford F-150 Lightning, Chevy Silverado EV, and Ram 1500 REV, with more entries projected before 2027. Every credible competitor that enters the segment gives a used R1T buyer a reason to walk away. 4. Production volume. Rivian is scaling manufacturing significantly. More new Rivians in the market means more used Rivians competing for the same buyers. Supply growth is one of the most reliable predictors of resale value decline. Top spec R1S launch edition models crossed $100,000 at purchase. Based on current depreciation trajectories tracked by CarEdge and Edmunds, and it's important to say this is analyst projection, not certainty, used values on these early models could settle in the $38,000 to $50,000 range by 2027. That would represent one of the steepest 5-year depreciation events for a premium vehicle in recent automotive history. That is why the Rivian R1T and R1S 2022 and 2023 models sits at number 1. So there it is, 10 vehicles across 10 different segments, brands and price points, all pointing toward the same destination, a value cliff that a significant number of current owners are not prepared for. Now, I want to be straight with you. No analyst, no data set, and no YouTube channel has a perfect crystal ball on this. Markets shift, policy changes, economic conditions surprise us. What we can do is read the trajectory clearly and make better decisions before the market makes them for us. If you own one of these vehicles and you're within a year or two of selling, the window to act is narrowing. If you're shopping used right now, these are the questions you need to be asking before you sign anything. Which car on this list surprised you the most? And do you think I got number 1 right? Or is there a vehicle out there that deserves that spot more? Because I read the comments. And if enough people make the case, part 2 might already be writing itself. If this video made you think twice before your next car decision, hit that like button. It costs you nothing and it helps this reach someone